This is Realty Talk with Ellie and Gaelan. Welcome to episode 85 of Realty Talk with
Ellie
and Gaelan. This is 2 weeks in a row, so we probably won't do too much of a backstory because I think we're kind of caught up.
Do you remember back in January when we were like, we're going to hit so many episodes this year now that COVID's slowing down, we're going to do an episode a week? And then we didn't do that.
So the two podcasts, so this one and the Gaelan Trombley show, I wanted to do one a week. That's my goal for both. And the only difficult thing about this podcast is because it relies on two people consistently. The Gaelan Trombley show, if somebody cancels on me, a lot of times I try to have two lined up in the week because as you know, frustrating as it can be, some people just have to cancel. And then it's like, well, if somebody cancels it, instead of two this week, I'll at least have my one.
Yeah.
So that's what I try to do. Like this week, I was supposed to have two. I had someone cancel. I have one lined up for tomorrow that I know is coming. They confirmed unless something happens between now and tomorrow afternoon. But at least I plan for that. For you and I, it's tough because I have
a pain schedule too.
Yeah, our schedules aren't great together.
No.
You're kind of your free time is kind of when I try to wind down and vice versa. So we're always coordinating that, but the other thing is I try not to just be like, okay, it's the Ellie and Gaelan podcast, and then Ellie's on 30% of the time.
Yep.
Because I could be like, okay, I'm going to do it at 10 o'clock on a Friday morning, and I'll bring in someone else, which we've done before. I do solo, but I just don't want to turn it into, we put out 4 a month, and you're on 1 to 2 of them. Which I guess we could do, but I think it's fair.
I wouldn't be offended, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, I like having you part of it. But that's why it's a little more difficult. And then for both of us to say we're going to do 2 this week is tough. We're trying to get 1 in.
I don't know if we could ever fit 2 in 1 week.
Yeah, 1 is tough enough that we always, which is weird, we have it on Tuesday, and Tuesday's never good. So
no,
I always
it's
move
not.
It to Wednesday.
We do it every week. Let's make Wednesday.
Okay,
I'm down with that.
Because I do it every week too. I just move it.
And I have two weeks out of the month. I have board meetings on Tuesday. It's never a good. Never a good time.
Yeah, it's perfect to punt Tuesday. All right. So topic today, we actually did a little prep, which was about 2 minutes of us bantering before, but I put down motivation, clarity, decisions. I know they're all kind of different, but they're all more like mindset and how we, not really necessarily real estate, but kind of how we focus on the motivation, I guess, / decisions on stuff that we do or don't want to do, because that's kind of what you were talking about. And then clarity with the idea that if you have so much stuff going on in the day, everybody, at the end of the day, I say it all the time, I'm busy, but everybody's busy. We all have stuff going on in our own, whatever we are doing, people are busy. So it's kind of focusing on when you have a gazillion things going on and running through your head, what are the things that you prioritize, take precedence on, and clarity, meaning how do you kind of filter through the chaos and the mess of everything and then really pick out stuff to actually plan and do and prioritize in your life.
Yeah.
So where do you want to start?
I don't know.
Do you want to do? Let's do the decision one that you talked about, decisions. So go into that.
I just wanted to know, because people tend to handle this in a variety of different ways. When you have something that you should do but don't necessarily have to do, or don't have to do it at that time, but you really don't want to do it, what do you do? So I'm trying to think of an example. Is this something that needs to be done, meaning someone else is relying on you to do it, or is this something that you would like to get done and you need something you need? So for an example, like doing your taxes. So obviously you have to do it at some point.
Yes.
But do you January 1st sit down and be like, I hate doing my taxes, I'm going to do it right now so I don't have to do it? Or do you put it off until April 14th? Or in between.
Me personally, I do it sometime between February and March, because typically all my stuff, I'm just for taxes.
So just example-wise, if something like taxes, let's say you absolutely despise doing taxes, how would you handle that every year? Would you do it as soon as you could, or?
So I'll give you an example. For taxes, I would do it in January if I could. Typically.
But do you hate doing them?
I hate taxes. I hate doing taxes. Shout out to my tax guy, No Tax.
Yep, that's my tax guy too.
Forrest Edwards, shout out. Fantastic. Straight up plug. If you guys don't use Forrest, is great at what he does. So if you're looking for someone that does accounting, super knowledgeable, super, I think very responsive, and
it's very easy too. You just upload everything and then that's it.
So I was always the guy to do taxes. I had all my stuff. My receipts were in a grocery bag, and I had email saved. I had everything. I had everything I needed. It just was not done
Organized.
efficiently, where it took me hours to do it. So I would say it would take me easily 6 hours in a stretch to start from start to finish. And then it was like a couple emails back and forth, and oh, by the way, I need this, and by the way, I need this, and then I'd get them.
Yeah.
My taxes this year took me all of about an hour to do because I had everything done through QuickBooks.
The systems and everything, right?
And I knew exactly kind of what to get to Forrest, and I just gave it to him, and I think he gave one email back, and me and my wife were able to respond to that like probably the next day with whatever we needed. So that was quick. I personally would do it in February or January. I usually wait till February or March because by the time I get all my return, like my health insurance paperwork,
you
my
don't get everything
my 1099.
Yeah,
I usually get it by February. I don't start it until I know I have everything in. I would say I'm typically all completed by sometime in March. I do not procrastinate the day before. I never have. Last year was the only time that I filed an extension ever because of just COVID. And I just honestly, half my stuff was here. We weren't it was just kind of chaotic, and I just never got to it because things kind of shut down right as I was getting all my paperwork together. So
it makes sense.
So I would have tackled that head on. But okay, but if we're going like in general,
something you hate, but
if it's something that needs, so perfect example, I had to check on something today. Someone asked me about a question about a property. It was one of those, they like messaged me on like Facebook or something. I was looking at it. I got it late. It was one of those things that I was like, you know what? I don't have the bandwidth right now to focus on this question because it's not a yes or no thing. I have to like research and kind of do a little bit more thinking. That was probably a day and a half ago. I was planning on doing it. I punted it from yesterday because I just didn't have time to get to it. And I put it to today, and I made sure I got it done today.
Yeah.
So that one, I punted it from Monday evening. I think I got the request. I responded Tuesday morning, which is yesterday, saying I will do it. And I ended up I kind of ran out of time yesterday to finish it, so I made sure it was done today. So I guess that was probably the extent of my punting is probably if someone needs something, it's like less than, it's usually a day tops because like, I want to get back to that person because they're keeping me accountable.
Yeah.
If it's me doing something for myself, not that I don't want to do it, I just push stuff off that I need to do, setting up a doctor's appointment, doing stuff for like my, something for my car, doing like anything like that. That will get punted weeks. Yeah. Be pushed off, and to the point where I'm like, I just got to do it.
Yeah.
So, yes. And that's not because
just priorities.
It's kind of, I just don't want to do it. And I just have other stuff going on. I'm like, it's priorities. It's for me. Nobody else is forcing me to do it. I'm just kind of.
There's less pressure. So.
Yeah. There's less accountability. It's just myself. And I'm like, it's not a high priority on my topic or my list. So, that I would potentially punt. I usually, though, try to get stuff done. I kind of have the mindset of if it's something that needs to be done, I focus on like one step in front of the other. Kind of like if I was to hike up a mountain, you don't just get to the top. You have to just take a step. So it's almost like, okay, I got to move all the, like this wood pile. This is when I was a kid. You had to take all the wood in the pile, put it in a wheelbarrow, bring it over, and stack it. Yeah. So you're looking at it. What's the easiest way to get it from point A to point B? Is just to start. Yeah. It's like start putting them in the wheelbarrow and just roll. And eventually you'll kind of get a more efficient way. But to be honest, just start. Don't overthink it.
Just do it.
One foot in front of the other and go. So I think when I get to some points where things have to get done, I'm in the mindset of just like, you know what? It sucks. Just do it. Take a step. Keep trudging, knowing you're moving forward. So that's kind of my mindset for that. What about you?
Probably similar in most respects, where if it's something work related and someone asks me to do it and it's something that they're relying on me to do, usually I'll do it right away. If for no other reason but that if I don't, I might forget to do it. So if it's someone else is relying on me and holding me accountable to it, usually I will get it done immediately, whether or not I want to do it. If it's something that is for myself, usually it takes a very long time. And I'm the same way with like breaking it down. It's very helpful for me to make a checklist of like, if I need to do something, breaking it down into really, really simple, easy steps, because then I feel good as I check them off as I go. And I'm like, yay, I'm accomplishing this one thing and by breaking it down into tasks. But usually that's several months after I initially wanted to do it because I just didn't prioritize it.
Yeah, there's sometimes I think if you have I constantly have tasks and lists and things I want to do. And I kind of have some deadlines, some loose deadlines. But I really think that if I look at everything now, say January 1st, look at everything I want to accomplish, and God, it's so much, and you start going. If I was to look back on December 31st on the year, I would look at it that to me, I just accomplished a ton. You know what I mean? So when you start off on January 1st and say, this is what I want to do from point A to point B in the end of the year, that looks like a tough hill to climb. And sometimes you don't really get to see the, I guess, like fruits of your labor kind of thing until you get to the end and turn around and look back. And I'm sometimes bad at looking back at stuff, but even if I look back like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 10 years ago, I'm like, holy crap, like I've done a ton or accomplished a lot.
Yeah.
In my head, it feels like I'm still like so far behind. And I think that's part of like, I guess, stop and smell the roses kind of thing or whatever that, and I think a lot of people probably can relate to that, especially if they're very like goal driven and like task driven and want to get stuff done, that you're always like, you know what, it's done. I don't want to think about it. Even though it's an accomplishment, I got to keep like chipping away. And that sometimes to me, adds to kind of our other topic. We might actually just make it a separate podcast, but the clarity aspect, like sometimes that clouds my clarity because I have too much stuff kind of like...
Can't see the forest for the trees.
Yeah, exactly. The trees are very thick at times, and it's just like, it makes that part tough, but I really, I try to make decision, like if I don't want to do it, I just know like it's kind of like it has to be done. Mm-hmm. Now there's sometimes too, I was doing this the other day, I have like a running, do you remember I still have the same whiteboard, but remember when I used to have just a bunch of stuff written on my whiteboard, just lines and lines and lines. And I remember sitting there one time, talk about clarity or simplifying. I remember like looking at it one time and I was like, I'm just so overwhelmed because it's in my face every day. And I'm like, well, I should do that. Actually, I should do that. That'd be a good idea if that's it. And then like this, I was just constantly doing this. So my thing was, okay, if I was to do that, I didn't erase it. I mean, I did. I typed everything out on an actual Word doc that just says like a whiteboard to-dos.
Yeah.
And it's stuff that I just add to and I add to and I add to. And what happens is over the years, because it's been a couple of years now this was going through, I'll come up with an idea. And in my head, I'm like, I will not implement that anytime soon. I'm just going to put it onto that document that's probably like 7 pages long now. Maybe actually, no, I think it's 12 pages.
Wow.
I think it's 12 pages long. I said 6. I simplified it something down to 6. So it's about 12 pages. I'll just dump it on there, delete the email, delete the article or whatever, and I had the general gist, and I just throw it there.
Yeah.
And then I probably go through that list once or twice a year, and a couple things jump out at me, and I take care of them, and the rest of it I just leave there. And then eventually some of that stuff's like archaic, and it's like, you know what, I'm never going to do that again. I just delete off my list.
Yeah.
So that's, I guess for me, is sometimes where like I just brain dump stuff, and then I just feel like it's out of my brain on a piece of paper. So if I need a reference, I can find it, but it's not was it analysis by paralysis? It's not like sabotaging my ability to make moves because I'm like too caught up with that. So I try to break that down to what is the most essential thing, which granted, it's tough to do. I'm not great at it. I try, but I'm always, God, it is like I got a pile of paper sitting right there. And like I kind of have some blocked off, but some of those are like teed up for the next thing. And I got to prioritize like, okay, move these three groups of papers or, like paper clip of papers over and just focus on this before I start on that.
Well, you've seen my desk.
Anxiety level, but
no, constant anxiety. But I if I put it away, then I forget about it and I don't do it. So I have to leave it on the desk. But then I have more things that end up on my desk.
Does that distract you though?
Yes, but I mean, I have discovered I've organized it better now because I was able to get. I actually stole it from another office because someone wasn't using it. Like a tower where you can like put papers in different levels. So I like created some kind of system for things I had to do because if I put it away, I'm not going to remember to do it. And so I have to see it in front of me, but it also has to like move. Otherwise it just blends in with the surroundings and I completely forget. So that in the task list, but I don't like having things all over my desk. I try to make it not leave until everything on it is clear by the end of the day, but some stuff is just not something I can do in one day. Yeah.
I mean, I came in Sunday morning and I had like my drone over there and a bunch of parts and pieces and stuff, and I was like, you know what? This is not where it's supposed to be. So
no.
I organized it. I put it up on my shelves. Like I'm just gonna get off my desk, and like the pile of papers on my desk is like a very minimal pile. To be honest, like all those I could probably put those off my desk too if I had to. So like my desk is very clean right now, but I like walking in, having like a blank canvas and like what I want to work on, or my computer or my phone or whatever I need is there, and I just focus on that because I get distracted very easily if there's something there. Because in my head I'm like, what am I missing? What am I missing?
Yep.
And I feel like Dory from like we would just watch Finding Nemo with the kids. That's why it's on. But like Dory, where she just like keeps forgetting.
Yeah,
I'm one of those people that I'm
Me
like,
too.
that list. Like I'm like, you just checked that yesterday. There's nothing in that legal pad of notes that you need to do yet because it's not as important as this one.
Yep.
But I'm constantly, am I missing something?
I'm always worried that I've forgotten something, even at the end of the day, and I'm going home. Like, is there? I feel like a constant nagging feeling that there's something that I was supposed to do that I can't remember that I was supposed to do. And usually there's not, but occasionally I'll, a couple of days later, I'm like, shoot, I was gonna call that person or.
Yeah, and that's that's one of my things I fear the most is saying I'm going to do something and not following through on it. So I am constantly, if you text me or email me or message me, I might respond to you and waiting for you to respond back, but I will screenshot that conversation. I will email it to myself. Then I will upload it to which are our contact manager, and then I'll make a to-do to say follow up about their Facebook message.
Yeah.
And that's how like neurotic I get, so I don't let anything slide through the cracks, because my thing is like if I wait for them to follow up, and they don't, then all of a sudden either I
lost an opportunity.
Well, I lost an opportunity, or if I don't follow up with them and they said I was going to, then they're like, well, this guy never gets back to me, which in real estate land, that's common for agents. They don't do it. Like that's one of the things as I tell every new agent, I'm like, if you tell someone you're going to do something and you follow through on that, you are already better than 80-something% of agents. And I bet you that number is pretty darn close. And that number actually might be generous. It might be actually more than that.
Yeah.
That agents just don't do what they say they're going to do and don't do it when they say they're going to do it. And that to me is like, dude, you don't have to be knowledgeable at real estate. You don't have to be experienced in real estate.
Just communicate.
You have to be, you have to communicate and you have to be organized. Like,
yeah.
That has nothing to do with real estate. That's just life. Like if you're organized and you follow through on what you're going to do, you are going to, and this is probably true for any company, but you're going to leap past all the people that are just too lazy or too disorganized to do it.
I always tell the other counselors at Friends is, the number one reason people get mad about a host of things, and sometimes, you're going to be the bad guy whether or not you have anything to do with the problem. But generally speaking, the 90% of the time, if someone is mad at you, it's because you did not communicate effectively. It's almost always. It's very, very rare. Yeah, if anything, even like when you think about relationships and friendships and politics and everything, it's all just you say something and you think you're being clear, but you're not using the words that that person needs to hear to understand what you're saying.
I would say from a business standpoint, 100%. From me and my wife, 90% of our arguments or more are just from miscommunication. It wasn't anything malicious. It was just like I didn't communicate something, or you didn't communicate something, or there was a miscommunication or whatever. Communication is
so important.
Yeah, so that's always something that, and that's just in general with your friends and with family and with clients and your spouses.
Just human beings in general.
Yeah, it's just you gotta be, and it's tough. Like I said, we're all human. We all make mistakes, and I think we were just talking about that before we came in the air about giving people benefit of the doubt and not coming in from a good place and not not your opening line
how could you
shitting on the other person kind of deal. So it's more of I think you got to come from a place of I think empathy is a big word nowadays, but I think it's people that have empathy. It's like a buzzword now, but I think empathy is just caring for people and being open and being accepting of people.
It's unfair to expect everyone to know the right thing to say or do 100% of the time. And I think sometimes we come into a situation where someone is not on their best day or does not say the exact perfect thing or do the exact perfect thing. And instead of saying, well, you know what, I do that too. Because we all make mistakes or get in awkward situations where you don't know what to say. And instead of saying, oh, well, why would you say that thing in such an awkward or unkind way? You have to realize it's not fair. We're all just people just doing our people stuff, and it's not fair to think that you're going to be perfect 100% of the time.
So a couple things, one, benefit of the doubt of, did they have all the same information I did, or do I have the information to, what's my opinion? And I do this all the time. If somebody does something, in my head I'm like, why did they say or do or react that way? And then I sit there in my head and play stuff through, maybe did they not know this detail? Did they not know this? Or am I missing something?
Yeah, you don't know what's going
on.
And
so
in their
I don't
life.
come at them like, oh, you idiot, you screwed up on something. I come through, I'm like, hey, I'm just not, you said this and I like this, and I'm trying to like get down to the bottom of, am I missing something? And most of the time it's like, because at that point you're coming in from a position of like, I want to get on the same page. I'm not being confrontational. I just want to come up to a conclusion or a resolution. And when you do that, I find that both sides are more accepting and my friend posted this the other day and I loved it. It was, and I'm going to totally butcher. It's like an office quote. I'm going to butcher this, but the general gist of it is, and it's something funny. I do this I haven't like articulated it as well as this was, but basically something along the lines of, I just assume that everybody is doing the best they can. And that just puts me at ease because you're not judging people.
Yeah.
You're not like, so if I'm like, if you do something, whether I think it's good, bad, great, terrible, I'm just sitting there. I'm like, that's Ellie's decision based on whatever. And I would hope, benefit of the doubt, that she's doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And maybe it's something I wouldn't have done that or said that, but maybe I'm like, you know what? Maybe she didn't say the right thing in my eyes or in a lot of people's eyes, but maybe she just, for whatever reason, doing the best you can, something happened. And I think if you come from a position of that, where you're just knowing that people are just trying to, because again, life's hard.
When
it's not easy.
5%, not even 1%, you see 1% of their life, and you can't make 100% assumption on 1% of a situation, basically.
Yeah, and it's like I said, just trying to read people. I think if just people are more, again, empathetic and just open to like, hey, I don't have the same background or same viewpoint or same, I guess, data input that person has based on what they said.
Yeah.
I see the output, and like you said, a very small amount of the input. But I got to come from a position that their input projected that output, and then I can then kind of at least understand kind of where they're coming from. And I like I said, be a little more empathetic to, okay, that I can see why they made that decision.
Yeah.
And now we can have a conversation about it instead of a confrontation where this turns into like a big blow up. So again, poor communication. So, all right. So we're going to do these two topics. We'll do this topic later, do that topic later. So we're rolling. We never have topics.
No, so now we have some build up.
We got two. We got at least two that we can hammer out. So we got 86 and 87 already rolling. Probably like 88 and 89 because I'm sure we'll have stuff pop in between. But fun fact, office quote, lighthearted joke gesture of the week. I don't know.
Lighthearted gesture of
the week. That makes sense. Gesture of the week.
You go first. I'm thinking.
Fun fact. I'm 31 years old, and today I finally picked up my first ever suits. I've never owned a suit before in my life.
Me neither.
31. Well, I've never owned a dress either, really. So there we go. But so that's fun fact. I'm 31 and I've never owned. I have a lot of like suit coats and pants, but never a matching combo set. So I always look like the the bum guy at the wedding that just kind of like rolls out. You know what I mean? Like just roll out and like not matching, and like it kind of passes at some weddings you can pass off with like khaki pants and a blue jacket, and some weddings or funerals or events you're like, I probably should have like
not
matched.
wear khakis and a blue jacket.
I should have matched the attire with the same. Like I've done this too. I've done exactly. Like turned into a Catalina wine mixer. No, so but like I've gone before to like events where I put like. You were with one of them. Remember we went to the Halloween party and had to dress up like, I don't even know what we dressed up as. Me and John dressed up as like Men in Black or something.
Oh, yeah.
So it was like, oh, you're going to wear a black suit. I don't own a black suit. I own a black jacket and black pants. And you wear them together, like from a distance they're black. When you get up close, like those are
two different shades.
Like they're two different shades of black, man. They don't even fit, and they don't look so goofy. So I'm like, you know what?
That's exciting.
I'm 31. I got to graduate. I got suits. I got a couple now, multiple styles. We're good.
Nice. How many? What colors?
I got 3. I went basic. I wanted to get my.
That's what you got to do for your first suit. So
I got to get my
basic.
Oh, because I was looking at some suits. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna totally get like the smoker jacket one. No, I'm gonna get like some of these like little more wild suits later on. But black, gray, blue, just basic. Can't go wrong. Got a bunch of combos that all match.
What kind of gray?
They're in my car. I'll show you, Ellie. It's
light gray or dark gray.
It's more in the light shade.
Interesting.
It's not as dark. It's not like a charcoal gray. It's more of a. Oh god, this is dumb. I don't know the. It's not like a slate gray. Yeah, slate gray. There you go. Rockin' wood too. No, it's like it's lighter than my laptop. It's
darker than your hat.
That would have been about the same color,
Interesting.
roughly. Why?
She's very, very light.
Okay, so Ellie doesn't
I'm
like
not
that.
judging.
So I will not wear that suit around you.
I
will wear
wouldn't
my
have
black
bought
suit.
that suit. But the black one, I'm sure, looks very nice.
No, I didn't want dark because the dark sometimes blends in because the blue suit is a little more on the darker side of blue.
Okay, so you got
black's
like
a little bit
too dark and then a light.
Yeah, so this is my lightest suit that I have, which I wanted to make it a little bit more. I wanted some contrast, so I wanted like 3 pillars, and then I start filling in the gaps.
So you get a yellow shirt and you can be like the ray of sunshine in the clouds.
That's exactly what I'm gonna do. First event, I'm
You're
busting out
welcome.
the suit. I'm gonna be a ray of sunshine. So that is it. That's my fun fact of the week. I now have suits.
I still don't have one.
I still dress like a bum, but all right.
There's a really terrifying squid, and I don't remember what it's called. I think it's just called the long arm squid, but they're ginormous and they're terrifying. And I encourage everyone to look it up.
You know what? If you go and you Google or YouTube or whatever.
Yep, it's a long arm squid, big fin squid. Dude, look at that.
Oh, jeez.
Terrifying. That is the stuff of nightmares. Look up big fin squid.
So I think the two things that will blow people's mind, one, because it makes you feel insignificant, is if you look at the size of, oh Jesus, oh God. So two things. If you look at the like up at the stars and realize how big space is, and then realize that your life is like I'm a speck in a speck of time. Like that's the part where don't do that if you're feeling like you want to feel down.
Now that you're depressed, goodbye.
Yeah, so that's like one side. The other side is if you go deep down in the ocean and look down at the bottom ocean, the bottom feeders that have never seen the light of day, those things will ruin your day. And they're worse than monsters you would see in a horror movie because you just look at them like that thing is.
They're huge too.
But like that's something like in your nightmares, you like this creepy crawly thing where you see like from like Night Before Christmas, all these like weird little characters or whatever. That's the kind of stuff that I was to see. I'd be like, it would give me nightmares.
26 feet long.
How many tentacles? Wherever those things are.
I think squids have 8, don't they? Or do they have?
I don't know. The same as octopus.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. One of those things. It's
like having 5, 6. Was it like 11 toes or something?
7. I'm counting 9.
What a world.
It does not say how many. It just says that the arms and tentacles of the squid are both extremely long. Oh, so it has arms and tentacles?
Okay, so this will ruin your night. So what's the name of that again? So people, because I wish I had like a
okay,
video camera.
Look at this right before you go to sleep, and you'll sleep real well. Big fin squids.
Big fin?
Big fin. One word. Big fin. They have not been spotted many times because they live so close to the bottom of the ocean. That's so crazy. It's an alien world.
It's an alien. That's what it is.
It is. Oh my God, the pictures are just so freaky.
So big fin squid. Look it up.
Here it is with this big fins out.
It looks like a sea ray.
Did you? Oh man.
In a what's the puppet there? Like a puppeteer, like when you like on the strings and you move their hands.
A puppet? I think it's
is that what's called a puppet?
I think so.
A puppeteer is the guy that runs the puppet. It kind of looks like an X-ray fish or a stingray.
Stingray
looks like a stingray fish with like a bunch of like puppet like cables coming from
it. Kind of does, yeah, because it has the fins.
Looks like it's like it's
stingrays
freaky.
Also get ginormous.
They're massive.
They get so big. They're freaky too.
So if you want nightmares, look up big fin squid and friends.
Don't show it to your kids.
Yeah, or me, or I don't know, freak you out. That's actually very disturbing. So
you're welcome.
All right, so I got suits. Positive note: big fin squid. Negative note. That's it, folks. Episode 85 of Realty Talk with
Ellie
and Gaelan.